Hi everyone, so this is 4 things you can do to be a better fish keeper. You might be doing them already, you might be planning on doing them, or might not know about them or have really thought about them. So the first one is probably pretty logical, but it's research. So researching the care requirements of your fish. So these are the basic water perimeters required, and you want quite a bit of overlap between any fish you are planning on keeping together. That does also include flow. As you can see, this tank has 2 externals. You can see the 2 pipes here. They are crossed over because because I always cut too much tube and it's so much effort to uncut it. And then there's another one back there. But the flow requirement, some fish like no flow, some fish like loads of flow. So it's worth looking at that, whether they want a densely planted aquarium or loads of space, if they want rockwork or loads of wood or a mixture of 2. What salinity, because remember quite a few fish are brackish or will move to a brackish and then marine environment, such as some of the catfishes that Aridae and stuff like that, well, in that family. And also the social requirements, are they shoaling? They require a group. Are they small and going to get eaten? Are they aggressive? Probably not going to mix together. Well, what sort of setup other than that? Do they require also the substrate? Do you want a sand or a fine gravel? Stuff like that. Caves. Is one fish going to get stuck in a cave that the other one probably needs? Is one fish going to pick up the other, not knowing it's food or not really thinking about predating it, but with that sort of happening? So that is really important. And also I would really emphasise researching tech. And not everyone's very keen on tech. Some people prefer the old way, which isn't always bad. It depends on how much maintenance you want to do or what fish you keep. So I always research specifically filters because they are probably the most important thing, I think, with any aquarium. So I always look at the litres per an hour flow rate per wattage. So I really want a lot of litres per hour, but to make it economically more viable and more eco-friendly, I look at how much wattage is producing that litres per an hour, because that wattage is what I'm paying for in my electricity bill and also the environment. So there are a lot of eco-friendly more filters out there as well, such as air-powered filters. I do use air-powered filters on my ancestral tank because I want to grow Ulfrich in small amounts, just for them to graze and nothing actually like to mean anything, if you get what I mean. So that is important, and you want to look at litres per an hour depending on the fish you keep, because some like lower flow, some I prefer more holding time water within the filter, and it is a really complex thing. I would research filtration in whole. It is a really complex thing. Aquariums, look at whether the right shape for the fish you want. Researching is so important because that's where people make the mistake. If they don't research, if they only ask one person, then it's a big mistake. If you only go onto YouTube and only look at that, because there's no conflicting opinions. I always like Facebook because people will conflict, so you get a mixture of opinions. So Facebook groups, some Facebook groups are better than others. Facebook groups that allow for more opinions, but also, if they don't agree with opinion or don't allow it, they provide valid reason not to. So whether it's a scientific paper or it's generally really dangerous for the fish, which is worth researching. So the next thing is scientific names. So this is my second point to be a better fish keeper, and that is learning scientific names. And a lot of people skip out on this. They say they're too difficult. They're too long, they can't spell them, they can't pronounce them. It's like, hold on mate, I'm dyslexic and I am studying taxonomy. I am awful at English, I am awful at languages, but I use scientific names. So your excuse, I can't spell a lot of things. What I have is Google. And Google, if you type in an incorrect spelling, or if you type in what you think is correct and then put some bits after it, so like some other words that would be connected with it, because that's how search engines work, by word association sort of. I can't really explain it. It should come up with the correct spelling. So, and then pronunciation. You might have seen that my pronunciations are not good, but a lot of people are very forgiving on pronunciations. Most of the time you only need to spell the scientific name or need to provide the word. So that is really important. There are websites like Catalogue of Fish that will provide you, if you put a scientific name, it will provide you with the most up-to-date scientific name with references to why. So you can, if you want to be a bit savvy with this, you can go onto those references and say, I don't quite agree with what their opinion, what this paper suggests. So I will use an older synonym. So a lot of people will refer to Bacterial, pleco, and Rossetti as anicety because they do not agree with the papers. I haven't really researched it that much, so I do not have it'd be wrong of me to say one or the other. Hence why I also say Corydoras splendens, Corydoras briscati, awful butchering of pronunciation, Corydoras multiradiatus, because they're currently classified as of 2003, 2004 as Corydoras till Corydoras gets split up and Brocas gets resurrected. So why are scientific names important? Firstly, common names. Common names are a mess. They are not regulated. Scientific names are. The L number system is kind of regulated, but it still counts as a common name sort of thing. But you can call any animal or plant anything you want and it counts as a common name. They are regional. They are depending what time you learnt it. And they do not reflect anything on the species. Look up mountain chicken. Look up raccoon dog. Their names reflect nothing about them other than maybe their appearance or locality. They do not reflect their taxonomy or phylogenetics. There are a lot of fish without common names. So how are you going to even be able to research them? How are you going to be able to keep them? How are you going to be able to use any sort of knowledge about them? Because there's a lot without them. There's a lot without scientific names, but they will usually have a variety which isn't generally accepted in the IZCN, which is the regulatory body of nomenclature of scientific names, but but it does help to narrow it down. And if you've got a genus level, you can generally work out its care requirements and if it has that name, is generally a regulated name, but variety names are very sort of personal, they are still more common names, so you can call varieties in animals, not in plants, anything you want almost. It's really difficult, but the L numbers are very useful with that. So I have Ancistrus L255. That is not a described species, but it has that L number. So we know it's an Ancistrus, we know 255, and that doesn't really have another variety name. I guess it is called the sportive medusa as a common name. It's really difficult to explain. But if you use scientific names, especially when you're talking to older people in the hobby that have been really serious fish keepers, they might know a different common name, but they know a scientific name. That might be a synonym, but you can always work it out because there is Catalogue of Fish or ways, Google will list a lot of them. Another thing is a lot of serious hobbyists only use scientific names. So good luck working out what you're talking about, because you'll be talking about the same thing but using different words. The whole reason scientific names were created is because they are universal no matter where you are in the world or what time how old you are. They're the same. It's a way of everyone knows what everyone is talking about. So the third thing on this, so this is understanding the bacteria nitrogen cycle, and this is really something you should be doing if you are somewhere in fish keeping. So you should be understanding, I'm going to very much skim over this, but understanding the nitrogen cycle, so cycling your aquarium, how to cycle them, because how are you going to have another aquarium or an aquarium if you can't cycle it? If you can't cycle it safely, sustaining aquariums if you don't understand the bacteria, or really having a logic around how bacteria works is extremely important, and it's worth researching and actually thinking through, because a lot of people make this mistake and that's how they frequently get deaths or, well, stuff like that. And also onto this is understanding water quality, understanding the different perimeters, because there is not just ammonia nitrates and nitrites. You do have other perimeters. Oxygen saturation is a really important one. pH, GH, TDS I use TDS as a global scale. It's total dissolved solids, and it will tell me how many total dissolved solids are in this water. That includes nitrates, pH, and all of that. So then the sort of last thing. So number 4, what I think is probably one of the most important things is to replicate what your fish will find in the wild or its natural environment to some form, because this is not what they would naturally see in the wild. Naturally, they would have loads of caves, hiding places. A lot of these fish, they will have the substrate, but it replicates it sort of ergonomically, not aesthetically. So these are loads of caves, and I am getting more for the fish, and that's what I have in the other tank as well. So why is it important? They might be captive bred, but it's still sort of like instincts, and replicating the fish's natural environment will encourage natural behaviours. It's more of a sort of ethics thing for fish, because you want to encourage natural behaviours. And also I would say in replicating the fish's natural environment is replicating their natural diet. This will help, well, as much as you can, avoiding any malnutrition and health issues in general. A lot of fish do have specific diet requirements, and if you miss those, will your fish live as long? Will it be as healthy? There is plenty of stories of fish being dissected and their guts being full of gross, just disgusting food, because a lot of food brands don't look at specific dietary requirements. You might think, oh great, it's got great ingredients, but you want to look at what it contains, other than just the fact it's got fish meal quite high up and soya down low. And you want to look at the specific requirements of the fish. And there's a lot of brands I don't recommend. There's ones I do recommend, so Rapashi, EBO and Vitalis, which look into the specialist diet requirements of specific fish in particular. Anyway, I think I'm going to finish this video. I'm going to make more videos soon. It's just when I have time. I might have next week off, I'm not really sure. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please comment, rate and subscribe. Comment, like and subscribe. And thank you for watching.